Hello guys, welcome to this podcast, and I'm with the most prestigious and notable individuals in the society. Together, we will be discussing the topic, the law and the freedom of expression online. But before we dive into this podcast, let us take a walk to the street.
Sometimes you might post, nobody will hear you. Sometimes you might not post and they will not start looking for you to know why you are challenging them, kind of.
The thing they based on how you criticize the body or the person involved. There's something called constructive criticism.
Freedom of expression has a limit.
We get constitution where already this right to freedom to speech day.
Even if you have freedom of speech, you can't say everything.
You have the right of speech. It's the right after speech that we lack in Nigeria.
Okay, so what's the fear?
The only fear coming now the way the country don't use be.
There are cases where people have expressed themselves and express their opinions concerning either political matters or social matters and economic matters, and such expressions have been deemed offensive by the government.
We have the case of someone like VDM.
The point to note is the Raya's case. Beside VDM and some other individuals that have spoken their mind and they got in trouble to it. Even this Dele Farotimi during that Afela Balola's case.
I've seen it online. The things they say are within their rights.
We know he's someone that always speaks up for the people. He's always talking for the people.
He's on the right track by saying the right thing.
He was arrested.
It's normal thing as far as Nigeria is concerned. If you talk, they arrest you.
Most people sometimes get arrested. At times they get molested, and in some cases they even get lynched.
It has been a recurrent something as far as Nigeria is concerned. But to me, I would say most of people that have the boldness and have the platform to still air their view.
So when you threaten people like that, who are we, the minorities, to talk?
Welcome back from the streets. Now we have really understood what people are saying. Many of them are sharing their grievances about freedom of expression, and many of them don't really know what freedom of expression is all about. And the simplest thing is that freedom of expression is what? The right to express your ideas, your opinions, and in this circumstance, in the online space, right? The law really provides for freedom of expression. But from what we have gotten, many people know that they have this right, but they cannot express it. If they express it, many of them say they'll get arrested, they'll get this. Does that mean that this right does not really exist?
Alright, so for that question, we got to say a lot of people express themselves online as yes, there is freedom of speech, but there is no freedom after speech. So now the truth is, to every law, there's usually an exception. To every rule, there is an exception.
That's true.
So as much as the law gives you the right to freely express yourself, especially in a democratic society like Nigeria, it also sets certain restraints so you don't end up encroaching on other individuals' rights. So very dark man, yes, we see him as a social critic where he comes online, express himself, and when you listen to the video, you see a person saying, VDM said this, and they came up like, yes, he's standing for the truth.
And they are arrested.
Exactly. Now the point is, like I said earlier, that there are rights, however, there are limitations to this right.
Okay.
So as much as you can express yourself, I don't want to express myself in such a way that it hurts my neighbors. The National Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Now in Article 19, it clearly states that, okay, you have the right to express yourself. However, where it will be against national security, public morality. So when BDM said something, now the issue in question about BDM and Falana's matter, which also involved FAS, it was involving a voice recording of Bobrisky where VDM said something that had to do with Femi Falana saying certain things that they thwarted the case and all of that. I'm sure it went viral then. Now the issue there is you can express yourself, but ensure that what you're saying is the truth. And when the individual comes after you, you can prove what actually happened.
Can I come in now? You say that we should make sure that it is the truth. But there have been other instances, like the case of Chioma Okorie. What she said to her is the truth. You understand? She expressed herself, but yet she was arrested.
That's the question that we have to ask. This is a risco tomato matter. She went online and she stated that this tomato that she got from a risco fruit was too sugary. She said it contains too much sugar. I cannot eat. And the next thing we saw, she was arrested. She's being prosecuted. How are we able to express ourselves freely, even when we say the truth? They come after us.
That means that I don't know if it's right for us to say that this freedom of expression is not really the way it appears. I feel like it's now standing more like a theory. More like a theory. In
freedom of expression right now is just like an illusion. An illusion seems like it is there, but it's definitely not there. Because how can you say that you are giving us freedom of expression, but we cannot utilize it? It's like it is there, but it is not there. Just like how the freedom of expression has been put in place, but it does not exist. I believe that
I don't quite agree with what you just said, because the instance is during this NSAS we saw over millions of Nigerians going online to express their grievances about certain government agencies. So they did express themselves and there were no clampdowns.
There were no clampdowns.
There's this case of
Daniel Okorie, a newscaster, he publicized the news against some government officials, which was obviously and definitely the truth, and he was arrested. He was arrested on May 1st, 2024 and released May 3rd, 2024. How can you arrest somebody, a newscaster for that matter, and at the end of the day, he was made to apologize to Femi Gbajabiamila? How does that work?
This is actually
raising
Even the case of Ogbonnaya, who came online to talk about how things have gone so bad, like things are high cost of living. So things have like gone high so much. You know, bag of rice is so expensive. You know that was that NYS, they came after her. The officials, they're like, why is she talking about the government? This teacher said they were true.
Okay, wait. Let's go together. We have freedom of expression and we have the limitations. Yeah, do you understand? So the limitations are what the government has really put in place. Do you understand? So do we really think that this issue maybe from the law that is guiding freedom of expression? I feel like the law has its shortcomings.
The main thing now, we have to bring out this very pertinent fact, the Cybercrime Act of 2015. Section 24 sub 1b states a lot of things, but in that provision we hear things like knowingly false, annoying, causing.
I feel like that's ambiguous, very ambiguous.
That is the problem. When do we determine when what I say to someone constitutes an annoying act? I tapped just now. Is it annoying?
Very annoying.
I should not say it's annoying. Yes. It's a subjective thing. The law is not explicit. This has led to a factor in situations where Daniel Ojukwu was arrested by the police because they suspected him of cyber stalking, which is the provision of this section 24. Now, if the provisions of this section was more clear, then we would not have an issue where people are just arrested people up and down. Yes, that's even where I feel like
you cannot even say when someone makes a statement intentionally or unintentionally. They're talking about the Cybercrime Act. Then I'll bring it down to the Constitution. Constitution mentioned reasonably justifiable. Like, how are we supposed to say when something is reasonably justifiable?
Like which section of the Constitution?
Section 39.
Okay, section 39.
Like, how do we know if something is reasonably justifiable?
The Constitution provides in section 39, subsection 3. It says something about these laws that are being made, these rights, does not in any way invalidate or will not invalidate anything that is done reasonably justifiable in a democratic society. So yes, freedom of expression is actually one of the basic tenets in democracy, and Nigeria is one in democratic states. Yes. So as much as you're saying that these provisions are vague, they don't provide for this, there has been court decisions where the court has clearly defined what reasonably justifiable in a democratic society is. There's something like when they tell you something in confidence, you don't have to, because you have your and you're going out to talk about it. For instance, you see court sessions, not everywhere. You cannot go inside the courts now when they are having live matters and start doing Snapchats and something of that nature. Thank you very much. Exactly. Now when you move down to B, that's paragraph B of section 39, subsection 3, you see something about information that members of the federal government, whether institutions or agencies, are privy to. And that's where the Information Act, Freedom of Information Act comes into play. So yes, you're working, and remember that one of these limitations is also provided in section 45, which is something about public safety, public morality. So as much as the government respects individual rights, which is provided for in the Constitution, it also goes to the point of saying we don't really care about you specifically. We are looking at the whole. So we don't say because one person will be offended with this law. We are not looking at the proportionate nature of this law. So that's when we talk about the limitations of law. We now look at the negative limitations and the positive limitations. We want to test the limitation that laws are made regarding regulating rights to the freedom of expression, especially online. Look at three things. We look at legality, we look at legitimacy, and third, we look at the necessity or the proportionality, as the case may be. Now, when we talk about the legality, what are we looking at? these limitations, are they in any way contained in the law? The second part of it that talks about legitimacy. Now, when we talk about legitimacy of these restrictions, what are we looking at? We are looking at how reasonable this law is. Are these laws reasonable? These laws that restrict my right to expressing myself, are they reasonable? You cannot tell me now that, say for instance, there is something that the public needs to be aware of. Just take a case in question is the NSAS, like I said previously.
Yeah.
So just imagine that you're restricting your citizens from having to express themselves online, to have the world see what is going on. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Yeah. So you can say to that point that these restrictions are not reasonable. Looking at the Twitter ban in 2021, which the ECOWAS court rightly stated that the reason that the government of Nigeria gave for clamping or shutting down Twitter was not reasonable enough. Then the third part, we talk about proportionality. What rights or what is being said, what is being expressed, and how are these rights being limited? So to that extent,
I would like to talk about the legality that you talked about first. From our street interview, we saw, I think one of the men talked about Koparai. You said, are these laws in the ambit of the Constitution? And Koparai was arrested. She was not arrested. She was called by the government. Is it in the ambit of the law? They are restricting our freedom of expression. So I still do not believe that freedom of expression is actually there. You said that there are restrictions. Yes, there are restrictions. But the man, he said it. Koparai was arrested for just expressing herself. That restriction, there was no restriction. There is even a bylaw by the NYSC that states that there is no restriction from any copper, from expressing themselves. So she was restricted. Why? The legality that you talked about is not present in this situation.
Okay, so now we have to drag all this together. So far we have observed the laws, the way it limits the freedom of expression, and then the shortcomings of this law. So what solutions can we prefer to this? Okay.
So like from the videos that we watch now, we can see that there are people who don't even know that these rights exist at all.
True.
And even if they know, some of them don't even know how to decide. Like if their rights are being infringed, they don't know who to meet. They don't know how to go about this. Able to what extent they should exercise these rights that like they are being given. Because there are people that who don't even understand simple English, like they don't have Android phones, no internet, like so now we have to work towards bridging this gap.
Law Clinic should organize awareness campaigns,
awareness campaigns. Very,
And
very.
also there is a street law program that is done by the NULAI, used to also express and show
Very
like all the law clinics in Nigeria.
Yeah, very true.
Because it will really help. Because there are many people that are out there that do not even know their rights. But if we can go out as a law clinic under NULAI to tell these people their rights and the limitations, they will be able to express it very well.
Based on everything we gathered and based on what people have really said and based on what we have really discussed, I believe that we have to a very great extent established what freedom of expression in the online space really means, the laws that provide for it, the limitations that this law puts. You understand that we have the freedom of expression, but yet, as they used to say, you have the right to swing your arms, but as you swing your arms, you should not hit the next person, right? So because if you hit the next person, that means you have now gotten to the part of that person and you are infringing on the right. So there are freedom of expression. So those out there should know there are freedom of expressions. However, there are laws put in place to guide you and to place some certain limitations, which is also for our good. And then we have also seen some of the shortcomings of this law, ambiguity and a lot of things. And we believe that through the aid of people out there, NULAI and other law clinics, we can reach out to the government, reach out to the appropriate authorities to look into these laws and find the best ways to amend these laws. And also, as a law clinic, we can go out to sensitize people in secondary schools, universities, campuses, market women.
Talk of even getting sessions from broadcast stations.
That's true. Like going on podcasts like this,
because don't forget that one of the challenges we face in Nigeria is that there is let's say a digital divide. There are certain areas in Nigeria where they have internet connection. There are certain areas where they don't even have phones, but they do have radios.
That's true.
Yes, you speak English. We can even get a broadcast station where we speak in pidgin, so we can reach break through barriers, language barriers.
Let them whisper their right.
Yes, let them say, you get right to express yourself, but they do you, tell them.
But you open your mouth and you talk, and you want to be
yeah. So that works.
Wow, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for staying with us. I remember your favorite host. Cyril.